For this experiment, we need popsicle stick electrodes and salt water to dip them in. Our Backyard Brains app, the lead's hooked up to the spiker box with a speaker so we can hear a chewing signal. And then we like to use a tin foil bracelet as our ground. Tighten it to your wrist and hook the white lead to it. We also need different foods that we're going to test chewing to see which of them takes more muscle force to chew. So our foods today are going to be gummy bears and marshmallows. Before we get started, we need to make a hypothesis or an educated guess about which food we think will make the bigger EMG signal. We hypothesize that the gummy bear EMG will be the biggest because gummy bears are more chewy, and that the marshmallow signal will be smaller because they seem easier to squish. So now that we've labeled which one we think is going to give us the biggest EMG force, we're going to test our hypothesis. Before you start, make sure you dip your electrodes into salt water so the electricity from your muscle can conduct through your skin. After you've dipped your electrodes in salt water, place them on your cheek with them oriented vertically on your masseter muscle, and put the food that you're testing inside your cheek on the same side as the electrodes, and then chew just enough to squish the food that you're trying to measure. And then look at your EMG and listen to the sound. Now we're going to make a recording of our gummy bear so that we can compare the EMG signals. I'm going to eat a gummy bear, push record. Chewing just enough to squish our gummy bear so we get an accurate reading how much electricity our brain is using to control our muscle. Now we're going to look at the recording we just made. So we'll go into our recordings, go to the bottom where our new recording is stored, push play, and we're already pretty zoomed in. If we zoom out, we can see that that is what our gummy bear EMG looked like. So now we'll pick a certain contraction that we want to look at. We'll zoom in just enough so that we can get good placement of our measurement, so we're not recording noise, we're just recording EMG. So you place your finger where you want to start recording and then drag across the whole EMG signal, and then we can see that the root mean square, or the average amplitude of this particular muscle contraction, was 0.025 millivolts. And then we'll be able to use that number to compare it to any of the other foods that you want to try chewing to see which one requires the most neural command and which one requires the least.